Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Shooting Off at the Mouth. I last spoke to you people on about 2 weeks back where we discussed ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla. You might remember that. And Lord Justice Khanna's famous dissent, which has actually become far more popular and far more revered than the majority judgment which has been cast into the waste bin of history. But Justice Khanna referred to another older, equally famous dissent, and that was by Lord Atkin in the matter of Liversidge versus Anderson, the famous preventive detention case during the Second World War. Lord Atkin's minority judgment did not hold the field, but since then legal scholars have celebrated it widely, and later on the House of Lords has acknowledged that it was a very peculiar decision. And Lord Diplock in IRC versus Rossminister said the time has come to acknowledge openly that the majority view in the House of Lords in Liversidge versus Anderson was expediently and at that time perhaps excusably wrong, and that the dissenting speech of Lord Atkin was right. So what did Lord Atkin say when the storm clouds of war were firmly over England? What did he say? He said, "In England, amidst the clash of arms, the laws are not silent." He paraphrased Cicero, actually turned Cicero's statement on its head. He said, "They may be changed, but they speak the same language in war as in peace. It has always been a pillar of freedom, one of the principles of liberty for which, on recent authority, we are now fighting, that judges," please pay special heed to this, "that judges are no respecters of person and stand between the subject and any attempted encroachment on his liberty by the executive, alert to see that any coercive action is justified in law." So Lord Atkin says, judges are supposed to stand between the executive and the people and protect the people from any executive encroachment on the rights of the people. Today we are in a time of war. Our leaders tell us that we are each of us a warrior, a corona warrior. But they also tell us that as in times of war, you will have to give up many of your freedoms. First all of them, then some of them, but many of your freedoms. And I have always cautioned that this is a very dangerous situation, because many of the freedoms, when they go away easily. Their restoration is not that easy, nor is it that full or complete. So today I am going to talk about this sentinel on the Kiwi way, a phrase which lies clumsily in Indian mouths, but used today by Mr. Chidambaram in his article in the Indian Express. A sentinel on the lookout. The judges, Justice Bhagwati said in MD Rohtas, I think, that the judges are a sentinel on the Kiwi way. They are sentinels on the lookout, on the alert for any encroachment of any right of citizens or those who come before the judiciary. And I put it for your consideration that we are at a time when the calumny of history might be heaped upon us. When I say us, I mean the courts and those who practice in it and those who man it, that we should not be passing through a second ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla era. The judiciary is one of the pillars of the constitution, the executive and the legislature being the other two. Can any democracy which is wedded to the rule of law have the judiciary so quiescent, so silent, almost invisible as we are seeing it now? because the judiciary seems to be operating at about 10 to 15% of its capacity. And it seems to me that the world is rushing ahead, leaving us by, and we are still stuck there. I refer particularly to the opening up, which is to come in place from tomorrow and then the 8th. And the things that the Chief Minister of our state has opened up right away from Monday, mind you, that barring containment zones, all commercial activity is restored, night curfew for which I have some severe reservations, only from 9 in the night to 5 in the morning, public transport at 50%, hotels, clubs, malls with social distancing will start. And I have to say this with sadness, that the recent methodology by the Honorable High Court is far, far behind this. So far behind that everybody else is out of sight. We are functioning with 10 single judges, 1 division bench, which seems a good beginning until you see the fine print. And I'm sorry if this is a bit of lèse-majesté, but I have to say that the definition of urgent matters in the Gujarat High Court leaves much to be desired. The definition virtually restricts matters which will go on by video conferencing to only civil matters. Now, I find that extraordinary. 2.5 months after a complete lockdown, and while during that period we were limping along, we were hopeful that some broader based definition of urgency, of reopening will appear. That doesn't seem to have happened. Now, it is said that, oh, but you don't know, numbers are increasing. I know it, they are increasing. I am as worried about it as you are. I value my life and my family's life as much as you do. But perhaps we will have to fix a metric on the basis of which we can say that yes, such as it is, life will have to return to normal. Now let me give you some figures about deaths. These are figures from respectively the Gujarat government RTO site and the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, MORTH, the Government of India. First, the Gujarat government figures. Deaths due to road accidents in Gujarat of 2014 were nearly 8,000. In 2015, they were 8,119. In 2016, they were 8,136. In 2017, they were 7,289. The point I am making is that the figures of deaths from COVID in Gujarat are, if you do the multiplier, today the paper has given the figure, so many deaths in 68 days. So I did the math and I came up with a figure of 5,200 deaths in a year. Because rates are going down slightly, death rates, or if they remain the same, 5,200 deaths. Now, if 7,200 deaths in 2017, these are the latest figures on the net, no newer figures are available, is not a reason enough to shut down the highways, then how is it a virtual shutdown of the legal system? Nowhere in Gujarat do the courts operate at anything more than 10% efficiency. This is unacceptable. Consider the figures of MORTH, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. In 2020, they have very recent figures. In 2020, 1,37,000 people had died in road accidents. You do the math, it comes to a huge figure per year, per day, or for 68 days, which is the metric we are using. Just do the math. So, high death figures, while unfortunate, are, as a percentage of our total population, infinitesimally small. But whatever it be, we have to apply a metric where we say that yes, when this data starts coming out, we will do that thing. Our start-stop debate ends at, have you seen the figures? Now, have you seen the figures is no answer. We have to come up with a metric that when the death rate goes to this, drops to that, when the new cases peak up and start falling, we may have all those things. But remember this, the executive is acting, and life is, as we know it, is limping back to normal. Just imagine that hotels, clubs, restaurants only with, they are all going to start with social distancing. I put it for your consideration and for the consideration of anybody who is listening. Are we in the profession or activity of administration of justice running fast enough and running hard enough? Because it seems to me that our pace of reopening is so slow that we may well become irrelevant in a new, harsher, post-COVID world. Thank you.